What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back with part 2 on the train horn install on my truck. It's early, it's cold, and it's frosty outside, so we got a couple things we have to do first. So just so you guys know, I don't actually have the spare tire winch anymore. That was actually cut off a long time ago. I don't know why, but my buddy who owned this truck before me, he had it removed. I don't know if somebody cut it and stole his train horn. I don't know the exact story, but the actual winch is missing. He actually had it removed completely. So all that's left is just a basic bracket, which actually doesn't work well with mounting the train horn spare tire delete bracket up under the bed. So I actually have to do a little bit of cutting and cut that old bracket out of there. Once that bracket's cut out of there, then we can actually see what we need to do further to be able to mount it under the bed. So let's go ahead and jump in and get this taken care of. Okay, so this is what I'm left with. So as you can see, all of the winch cabling has all been removed. So that was all tore out a long time ago. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might have had a train horn under here himself, and somebody must have cut the cable and stole it. So either way, I don't have that anymore. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars trying to replace it all, I'm just gonna see if I can cut some of this part out and maybe cut these little nuts off here and see if I can mount it there. If not, I'm just gonna cut the whole thing out. So that's what I'm gonna work on. So I'm gonna jump on that and see what I can come up with. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping this works. All I did was cut the outside shroud off that would hold your tire in place when it was cranked up here. So I cut that shroud off, cut off the side clips, and cut off the welded bolts. But that should give me a pretty flat surface to maybe work from. So let's see what we can come up with. Okay, we are back. So what I did was I actually just put a coat of black spray paint on this just to help protect any of the cuts I did from rusting and just look a little bit cleaner and nicer. So I laid a piece of cardboard on top of this and cut it out so that I knew where the slots were, where the bolts would go, creating a basic template. And then I put that template up under the truck right here and tried to line it up to where I could actually fit 4 bolts in, which actually ended up just working. So I drilled a hole there, 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 and there. So basically I have 4 bolts that will just fit. So we're gonna head and try to get this mounted up. Once it's all mounted up, then we can start wiring it. Okay, we are back. We got them mounted. It actually perfectly lined up with the holes on top of the bracket, so I didn't actually have to remove the middle bracket after all. All I had to do was cut that little bit of shroud out of there so everything would fit, everything lined up. All the nuts, you see the 4 bolts there? They bolted on underneath perfectly good. Got the washers in, all 4 sides. And this thing is not going anywhere. It is mounted on there nice and tight. So that's basically what they look like. Mounted under the truck. And you honestly don't even really see them from the top. So I'll get up in a second and show you what they look like from the top, but that's what they look like from underneath. And you barely see them. I mean, you can see the horns right there, but it's tucked up there real nice. So they don't hang down real low at all. Right there. So there you go. Finally got them all mounted. So there's my extra plug here I'll probably use for a chuck later. Here's my bleeder valves. There's my gauge. So now I can work on figuring out the wiring. Okay, so just to kind of give everybody a rough idea on how I wired this up, I did have to call HornBlasters to confirm this, only because what they sent me and what I wanted to use and how I wanted to use it was slightly different. So basically this is the diagram that I drew up to use when I'm actually wiring up my set. So if you look here, this is basically the whole tank kit on the spare tire delete bracket, this whole thing right here. So basically, if you look right here, I'm going to take from a positive wire from the battery using the red 10 gauge fuse wire down to relay 30. I'm going to use the same 10 gauge red wire from relay 87 down to the positive on the compressor, and then just ground the compressor using a 10 gauge wire as well. I am also going to ground relay 85, and then I'll take a wire from 86, probably just an 18 gauge wire from 86 to the pressure switch that's mounted on the tank, and then I will come out of the pressure switch up to a toggle switch going to ignition power, so that anytime I turn the switch on and off, that'll actually get power to my compressor and get that running. Then once this air tank is actually compressed with air, I'm assuming roughly 150 PSI, I will also have a 12 volt power source running to this switch, typically using 18 gauge wire. When this switch is activated, it'll send power straight down to the solenoid, which is also grounded. The solenoid will then send power to release the air into the 4 horns. So I just wanted to give you a rough idea on how I did it, because everything that you see online and everything that you watch videos on, they don't really explain it like this, and I needed something drawn like this to help me when I'm wiring my kit up. So not sure if this will help any of you or not, but this is what I'm doing, and we'll see how well it works. So real quick, how this works is essentially we have ignition power going to the switch. Once that's turned on, it'll send power down to the pressure switch, out of the pressure switch up to relay 86, again because power is coming down to 30. So once 86 charges that, it'll pull this over, allowing power to come up through 87 down to the compressor to turn it on. The pressure switch, once it hits 150 PSI, will then shut the compressor off. Then once the tank is filled with air, this over here 12 volt power source, I might just run straight to the battery, I'm not sure yet, but a 12 volt power source goes to this switch, which will be more of a momentary switch. Once that's activated, it'll send power down to the solenoid, which will release air from the tank into the 4 air horns. So hopefully this helps some of you, because a lot of the videos and diagrams I seen online was not explaining it this way, and this is how I wanted to run it. So hopefully this helps some of you. Okay, so here's what we're gonna get started with. I did go to the store and buy some extra parts. I probably don't even need most of this. I just got it just in case. But I will probably be using some of this flex tubing here to cover some of the wires. Tape that up a little bit just to make sure the wires are not really exposed underneath the truck. I got some more electrical tape, got a couple extra fuses just in case. Got another toggle switch just in case, a few fittings, some additional shrink wrap. I got some extra 10 gauge wire just in case I don't have enough of what they sent me. So what they sent me in the kit is gonna be a good bit of, I think they said about 17 or 18 feet of 10 gauge red power wire. I got the 10 gauge fuse to go with it. I got some gray wire and I got some blue wire here. I wanna say those are like 16 or 18 gauge. I have my relay, and then I have a toggle switch here, and then I have some fittings here that I can use to crimp everything together. So again, so I'm not saying you need all of that. I'm just saying that I bought some things just in case, because when I dive into this wiring, I don't want to get into a situation where I have to stop and go to the store. I'd rather just buy what I need. If I don't need it, I'll return it another day. And then I have my diagram right here, and which I showed you a little bit ago. I'll use that as a template to get things going, and that's about it. So let's get this started, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, everybody, we are back and we are done. Finally. This was a long install because work's been really busy for me, so I've only had a little bit of time here and there to work on this, but we finally got it done. So let's just do a quick walk around and I'll show you sort of what I did. Okay. So here they are right there. This is the Conductor Series 244K Nightmare Edition with the spare tire delete bracket. I have the power wire and the switches that go to the relay for the compressor are in this tubing, and I have them run all the way up the right side of the truck, all the way up into the engine bay. And then I have my power for the solenoid right there in the tubing, running all the way up the left side of the truck. And then I have the two grounds, one from the solenoid ground, one from the compressor ground right here into that bolt. So I actually have the remote wire for the solenoid, pops up underneath right here, ran through the here, and then instead of installing a push button switch, I actually have it hooked up to a pull chain. So it's a Momentary pull chain switch right there. So whenever the tank's ready, all I do is a little tug on the chain, sound the horns. And then in the same hole under here, I brought up one of the remote wires from the compressor and have it wired in to that switch right there. So if you have any questions about the wiring and how I ran the wiring, just follow the diagram that I just went over a few minutes ago. That's probably the easiest thing to do. But just to give you a quick snapshot, on the driver's side of the truck, I have the remote wire for the solenoid running up over here, tied to the chain switch. Then there's a power wire from the chain switch through the firewall to the battery with a fuse. On the opposite side of the truck, it's a windy day, get the flags going. So on the opposite side of the truck, I have the power wire and the two remote wires for the compressor running up this side of the truck. And then up here, one of the power wires and one of the remote wires that goes to the relay are tied up under the hood, connected to the relay, and then ground under the hood. And then one of the other remote wires I have run up underneath to the switch. Okay, so bear with me, it's a windy day, so I'm not sure how much of this you can hear. Don't mind my crazy work. This is all like pretty much my LED lights. But here, right here, this red wire tied to the positive, I have that going to a fuse in through the firewall. That's actually what's connected to the pull chain power switch here. And then from that pull chain power switch, it goes down to the solenoid in the back. On this side of the truck over here, so I have the power from the battery going to the terminal 30 of the relay, okay? And then from 87 on the relay, I have that going to the actual compressor, all right? And then I have, I believe it's 85 grounded right here, okay? And then 86 goes to my pressure switch on the back tank. And then the other side of the pressure switch is what comes up to that switch that was on the dash that works the compressor. So again, as long as you just follow the wiring diagram that I had posted just a little bit ago, it's pretty simple and easy. It just took me a little while to draw it out, but I highly recommend that you maybe screenshot it, but draw out what you want to do so that you don't get confused, because there's a lot of wires going to different places and you want to make sure you wire it up correctly. If you have any questions, let me know. So here, the ignition switch power here, I honestly just took a wire from here and then tied it into my 12 volt cigarette charger here behind here, because that works off the ignition. So that was an easy loop there. So again, that was the easiest way for that. So we're going to turn that on. I'm just going to let everything kind of turn on and cycle through for a second. I'll turn the compressor on because it's probably still going to need some compression. You hear it running? You see the gauge right there. It's almost to 150. Once it hits 150, it'll shut off. There it goes. So there it is, it's shut off. I'll do a distance shot. Ready? There it is. I will say, this thing is ridiculously loud. But again, you could hear as soon as I blew off some of the horn, the pressure switch is going to recognize that I used some of the PSI from the tank and automatically turn on. Once it hits 150 PSI, it shuts off. But I like that chain pull. That's pretty neat. All you gotta do is tug on it, and it's actually pretty simple to do. Right up here, it's mounted to the pillar, and then I have the switch down here. It's a momentary pull switch. So instead of a typical momentary push switch, this is a momentary pull switch. And all I did was wire it the same way, but this chain is actually connected to a pull chain here. So when you tug on it, it pulls on the switch, activates the horn. So one more time. There you go. So that's it, everybody. That is a full install of the HornBlasters Conductor Series 244K Nightmare Edition train horn on my 2016 Ram 2500 Cummins diesel. If you did not get a chance to watch the actual unboxing and assembly of this train horn, go look for the Part 1 video, which I also have listed. That'll show you the full unboxing and how to put the actual whole train horn kit together on the spare tire delete bracket. This video was really just to show you how I basically wired it up and a demonstration of it working. So, but I do want to say this. These horns are loud. They are extremely loud. I didn't want to have mine wired up to my horn just in case something malfunctioned, something didn't work. I wanted to know that I still had a regular horn, because the last thing I want to do is get pulled over and have a cop want to test me and I blow his ears off. So I don't want to do that. So I kept my horn activation on the pull chain instead of actually tying it into my actual factory horn. But that's me. You can do what you want. Either way is fine. I just didn't want to do that. But I do want to say these are very loud, so be cautious when you are using them. They are very loud. They can also hurt people's ears if they have sensitive ears. So I just want you guys to be cautious. Have fun with it. Don't be stupid. Don't do bad things that are going to get you in trouble or hurt somebody else. But again, that's it. So again, I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But do me a favor, like this video, hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment, and let me know what you like and let me know what you don't like, and we'll go from there. So again, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. As always, I want to say thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. So that's it, guys. Hope you like this video, and I look forward to doing more in the near future here. So as always, see you in the next video.